Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for being with us. Here are your top stories. A Windsor man pleads guilty to manslaughter in the death of his common-law partner. He was in court today. Plus, the latest on your taxes as police shave down their budget request for next year. And Windsor is getting a new Fringe Festival next year. We'll hear more from one of the producers. But first, we have new details about the vehicle crash on Walker Road we told you about Monday night. Police now confirm 2 pedestrians were killed after they were hit by an SUV. Now, while it's unclear what exactly led to the collision, people who work along Walker say the road needs to be safer. CBC's Jacob Barker has more.
A 63-year-old man and 68-year-old woman died after being struck by a vehicle here on Monday. I spoke with some workers at some of the businesses here who say that they feel this stretch of Walker Road is unsafe. They'd like to see more done to calm it down.
At first, when I moved here, I was so excited because Walker is such a busy street, so I thought it would be so beneficial to my business. Unfortunately, what comes with a busy street is accidents and people driving recklessly.
The road was closed down for hours Monday evening following the collision. The driver of the vehicle had to be removed and was taken to hospital. The pedestrians died as a result of their injuries. It's not clear what caused the collision, but we do know that so far, no charges have been laid. The speed limit here is 50 kilometers an hour, but watching the cars pass, you wouldn't know it. There isn't a lot to slow people down around here, especially in this stretch between Wyandotte and Richmond.
It has become literally like a mini highway, and for us, when we are coming out to go home, whether it's towards Wyandotte or Tecumseh, a lot of times, you know, we're like almost praying to come out. It's like double Dutch, which side is the car coming from?
This tragedy has really confirmed our fears that this has been a poorly engineered road. And there's no reason for that. If you put parking, you put cycle paths, cycle lanes, something to slow down the traffic and make it harder for drivers to speed, then that's in everybody's best interest, including drivers.
A residential area of Walkerville is just behind this row of businesses, and some new residential buildings were even built on Walker not too long ago. But those I spoke with say this area is far from pedestrian friendly.
The gaps between lights are very long and the road is very wide. We organize events there where people will come over to the bike kitchen and walk between Walkerville and Ford City, and it's unsafe. It feels awful, and the cars never stop. I mean, you're always looking for a moment where you can get in and cross the road.
We did reach out to the city to ask if there have been any solutions looked at to make this area safer, but nobody was available. Mark McKenzie, the councillor for this ward, also says he wants more information on the recent accident before making any comments. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
A warning that this next story contains details of intimate partner violence. A Windsor man charged with first-degree murder of his common-law partner was in court today. And the CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa was at the hearing, and she joins me now live in studio with more. Jen, what happened?
Wellington Holland pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter in the death of Janice Madison. Last November, 67-year-old Madison was found severely injured inside the home that the couple lived in. She was later pronounced dead in hospital. At the hearing today, inside of the Superior Court of Justice, an agreed statement of facts was read out loud, and it outlines the relationship between Holland and Madison, as well as what happened on the day she was killed. And I just want to warn you that some of this is hard to hear. The pair had been in a relationship for 4 years, living together for 3 of them in Windsor's Remington Park neighborhood. On the morning of November 14th, 2023, Holland called his sister saying he killed Madison. 2 of his siblings arrived at the house and found Madison's body on a bedroom floor. She had been stabbed multiple times across her body. Holland is said to have been extremely drunk and crying. He said that Madison had been belittling him and calling him names. Emergency services were called in, and a toxicologist report later found that Holland had an extremely high amount of alcohol in his system. Holland's criminal record includes multiple instances of assault against Madison, specifically a time when he choked and strangled her.
Jen, you were in that courtroom today. What was that like?
It was definitely somber. Some of Madison's family was there listening in silence. They all sat together on one side of the courtroom. They were really just feet from Holland, who seemed to hang his head a bit as the details were being read out loud. The judge called this a tragic event and said that it is a case of intimate partner violence, which has been declared an epidemic in Windsor. Holland's sentencing is supposed to happen early next year. That's when the family will be reading victim impact statements.
Thanks for that, Jen. CBC's Jen LaGrassa in studio with us tonight. Now, if you or someone you know is struggling with domestic violence, you can contact Family Services Windsor Essex at 519-966-5010 or Hiatus House at 519-252-7781. Last week, we reported that Windsor Police are asking the city for more money in 2025. That request has been slightly tempered. The original ask was for a 7.9% increase. The new figure is shaved down slightly to a 7.1% increase. That was discussed at a special meeting of the Windsor Police Services Board today.
Most of it is related to negotiated salary and wage increases and benefit costs, and so that's something you really can't get away from unless you want to actually start reducing bodies at the Windsor Police Service. And so we're happy with the men and women here. We're happy with the job that they're doing. We like strength in the core, and we want to support those elements, but you have to pay the people. And give them their benefits, and there's a cost to doing that, and we've seen some exceptional costs this particular year.
A 7.9% increase would have meant an additional $8.2 million in the Windsor Police operating budget. The mayor said the calculations on a 7.1% increase haven't been done yet. Now, before the discussion, Windsor Police were projecting their total operating budget to reach almost $112 million next year. Approval for the increase will be decided by council in January. Meanwhile, the police board intends to ask OPP how much it would cost them to police the city. But the mayor emphasized that the request is only for information and comparison purposes and to see if savings can be found for Windsor Police. We've got Khalil Hassanali now with us for a quick look at weather. Khalil, another rainy day today.
Another rainy day, and we've had that temperature dropping steadily as we go through the afternoon. So we were at 10 degrees around noon. Let's look at what we are at right now. 5 degrees. So we've dropped 5 degrees in the last couple of hours, and the drop is going to continue over the next little while. And what we're looking at for the overnight hours is a big change, perhaps some of the white stuff coming down. So that is going to be the picture that we are looking at going forward. So overnight tonight, 2 degrees is that expected overnight low. But we're looking at that weather, 2 degrees, some rain. That means also it could be changing over to flurries. So that is going to be the picture. 40% probability of precipitation overnight. And then as we go into tomorrow afternoon, more wet weather in the picture, just getting up to a high of 4 degrees, Kat.
I'm cold just listening to you, Khalil, but we'll check right back in with you later on in the program. Thanks. You. And now while we're on weather, let's turn now to the situation in British Columbia. High winds continue today and crews are still working to restore power to thousands after what meteorologists termed a bomb cyclone hit BC's southern coast yesterday. Trees and power lines fell, but the worst winds didn't reach inland. Speeds reaching 170 kilometers were clocked at an ocean weather station west of Vancouver Island. And this morning, 2 ferries stopped running and some schools closed. The bomb cyclone terminology refers to a rapid drop in barometric pressure. The storm left 2 dead in Washington state. I am Katerina Georgieva, the host of the 6 o'clock news, and I'm here with Laura K. Bird, one of the co-producers for Fringe Windsor, which is a new festival coming to our city next year. So why did you want to make that happen?
Really, because I love going to Fringe performances. So there's some selfishness to that. The idea of being able to come to Windsor and see shows that are local and national and international and have a chance to be part of a Fringe community. So really, it was just an opportunity to kind of fill in that festival vibe in the summer, but with a real theater focus. It's going to be July 24th to 27th, 2025.
And you're having info sessions to raise awareness, to get feedback from the community. What are you hearing so far?
We actually had a great feedback session last night. We presented what we were going to do. We got nice feedback from the participants. We were able to hear a little bit about things that people had liked and not liked in Fringes in different cities, in different places. And one of the nicest things that someone said, who was a real Fringer, someone who'd been to many Fringe festivals, they liked the idea that we were striving to create a community. Because Fringe is a community. You kind of hang out. I said to someone else, what WIF is to moviegoers, Fringe is to theater goers.
And how does it feed the soul? How does it feed your soul?
Oh my goodness. I think one of the most exciting things is that you don't know what you're going to get. So you can read a little bit about each show, and then when you're sitting in the audience, there's just that excitement of what could it possibly be. And it's just really exciting to see a range of, you could have amateurs, an amateur performance that really moves you one day, and then other times I've sat and just gasped because someone who has a trained individual who has a theater background and has reached out to create a new piece of theater for them. And because it's not maybe the same as being in a traditional theater spot with the same set of cushy chairs and lights and sound, there's lights and sound, but it's not amplified in the same way. It's a much more intimate space.
We have an update on a story we brought you earlier this fall. In October, we had a crew on the Detroit River as more than a dozen vehicles were pulled from the water. And that video has stirred a lot of interest. It's been viewed more than 60,000 times and counting. So what happened to those vehicles after they were dredged from the river? Well, we went to find out.
Jordy Workington here, and today we're going to be talking about how we pulled the vehicles out of the Detroit River. There was 13 vehicles. Before we even started, we sent a dive team down in to check where the cars were and mark them all off. The depth of the water is approximately 15 feet here, and there's approximately 15 feet of silt. One that was quite interesting was a Dodge 1500. It was a 2003 or 2004. We were told it was stolen brand new out of the CN yard, and it was still owned by Chrysler Canada. We could tell when we pulled it out, all the paint on the frame, the hitch, all that was like brand new. There was a VW Rabbit that we were told was stolen from Leamington back in 2003. The one Cadillac, when we pulled it out, the frame was quite rotted and it folded in half as we pulled it out. There's at least 3 that were Michigan vehicles and brought over here and sent off into the water. After the police had all went through them, then we called up a local scrap company. They sent out bins and we loaded them up. They told us they were taking them directly to the smelters in Michigan. I'll be seeing the pop cans that we're all drinking out of. We were shocked on that one day. I think we counted up to over 60 spectators watching. They were all curious too and wanted to see the vehicles up close. There is possibly more stuff buried in the sediment, but Peter, who has the final say on this project, gave us the approval and said that he was happy with what we had removed out.
It's a once in a lifetime possibly opportunity to see when we recovered the cars. It's really a unique story in itself to have that many cars recovered in one place. Absolutely very excited that they're gone. That takes away a huge potential for environmental risk and liability across the entire port. Well, there's several things that surprised me. The number one, that 13 cars and 1 construction trailer was involved in this. The oldest car we had was 1987 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. Windsor police have come back and said absolutely 12 of those 13 were reported stolen. The river has many, many secrets, whether it be ships from 200, 300 years ago, to debris, to garbage, to guns, to cars. The river has secrets, and we don't know them all. And maybe eventually in time we'll discover some more. There's bound to be more.
We want to tell you now about how here at CBC Windsor, we're launching our holiday campaign called Make the Season Kind. And the goal is all about helping those who are experiencing food insecurity in our community. And we are asking for your help. So look for this on our website. It has details on the various ways that you can participate in our campaign. As part of Make the Season Kind, we'll be heading to Bright Lights at Jackson Park. We'll have a live broadcast of our show there. That is on December 5th. So mark the date, come by, meet us and watch the show. We'll have live music and a bin to collect donations for our food drive, and the fun starts at 5:30, December 5th. We hope to see you there. A live look outside there. Stay with us. We'll have international news for you when we come back. Welcome back. In international news, the latest UN resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza has been vetoed. But a push to pause fighting in Lebanon is seeing some progress. But first, an update on Russia's war in Ukraine. An air attack threat has prompted several countries, including Canada, to shut down embassies in Kyiv.
I'm Crystal Gamansing in London, tracking developments in Ukraine amid rising tensions and Ukraine having more leeway to use donated long-range weapons. The Ukrainian defense minister was asked if the British-made Storm Shadow missile had been used to strike inside Russian territory today. Rustem Umarov did not give a clear answer.
We are using all the means to defend our country, so would not go into detail, but we are just sending that we are capable and able to respond.
It was expected that the UK would grant Ukraine approval to use the long-range missile following the US lifting restrictions, but there was no official announcement. With limited time left in office, the Biden administration made several moves to boost support for Ukraine, including donating anti-personnel mines. That is a controversial move. More than 100 countries signed the Ottawa Treaty of 1997, banning their production, storage, transfer, and use, given the indiscriminate harm they can cause. 1/4 of Ukraine is already littered with landmines, according to the UN, making it one of the most mined countries in the world. The U.S. also announced today additional security assistance for the defense of Ukraine, including artillery munitions, mortar rounds, and chemical and nuclear protective equipment. That package worth an estimated $275 million. The U.S. Embassy, meanwhile, in Kyiv was closed this morning. It cited the potential for, quote, significant airstrike by Russia, prompting the closure. Canada followed suit, halting in-person consular services, citing the American warning, as did several European countries. There are fears Russia will retaliate for Ukraine using Western long-range missiles inside Russian territory. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
I'm Tom Parry in Jerusalem, where there may be a glimmer of hope for a ceasefire in Lebanon. Lebanon has been a second front for Israel. Hezbollah launched its current campaign of missile strikes against Israel a day after Hamas launched its attack on October 7th. Israel has had to evacuate 60,000 of its citizens from the north. It's also been striking back at Lebanon, killing more than 3,500 people. The United States has had an envoy in Lebanon this week talking to authorities there about the potential ceasefire. He's had some success there. Here's some of what he had to say today after meeting with the Speaker of Lebanon's parliament.
So I just concluded another meeting with Speaker Berry. The meeting today built on the meeting yesterday and made additional progress. So I will travel from here in a couple hours to Israel to try to bring this to a close if we can.
Meanwhile, today at the UN Security Council, the United States vetoed a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The United States representative at the United Nations says the resolution did not link a release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas to that ceasefire, and that's why the United States decided to veto.
We made clear throughout negotiations we could not support an unconditional ceasefire that failed to release the hostages. Because, as this council has previously called for, a durable end to the war must come with the release of the hostages. Simply put, this resolution would have sent a dangerous message to Hamas.
The question is whether a resolution, even had it passed, would it have made any difference? Back in March, the United Nations Security Council did pass a resolution calling for a ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire through Ramadan. That resolution passed, but the fighting didn't stop. Tom Parry, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Coming up tomorrow on Windsor Morning, 2 family doctors in our area are being recognized for being extraordinary care providers. They were nominated by patients, and they speak with host Amy Dodge tomorrow on Windsor Morning on 97.5 FM. And when we come back, we'll have more on weather. Stay with us. Khalil Hassanali is back with us now for weather. And Khalil, you mentioned the white stuff earlier. And earlier in the newsroom, somebody said the F word, flurries. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable, but
here we are.
This is where we are at. End of November, getting towards the end of it. And that is what looks like it's going to be coming perhaps through the overnight hours. So let's have a look at what we're expecting in the next little while. So it is going to be the overnight hours where there's the best chance of some flurries coming down, some snow coming to the ground, because we're dropping in temperature as we go through the overnight hours. And also there's going to be some rain coming down. So there's the chance that it will switch over to some snow. So we have some unsettled weather to start off on Thursday and continuing through the day. And then as we go through Friday, unfortunately, more rain in store for us. But hopefully by the weekend, as people want to get out and do things, it should remain mostly dry. So what are we at right now? 5 degrees. That's a far cry from where we were earlier on in the day, getting up to double digits, actually. We're around 10, 11 degrees around the noon hour, but it has dropped with that rain that came through the day and also with the kicked up wind, a lot of gusts for everyone. So this is what's happened. We've seen those rain showers pass through the area over the last 3 hours. So it is dry at the moment, but expecting to change as we go through. So looking into the next couple of hours, we see all that cloud cover and then that purple stuff. That is the possibility of that scattered shower coming down, or scattered snow shower, I should say, more so instead of a rain shower. So that is going to be the picture as we go through Thursday. By Thursday evening, should change over to a little bit of precipitation and wet weather. And then it's going to be more of that as we go through the rest of Friday and the end of the work week. So going ahead and looking at more of the rain coming down through the workday on Friday. Overnight tonight, we are dropping down to the 1 degree mark. So if there is some rain, that's why I could possibly switch over to some snow showers. And we do have a lot of wind that's going to kick up, a bit of a yo-yo in terms of how it's going to be affecting us. So Thursday morning, quite extensively expecting us coming down through the day and then kicking back up as we go through into Friday morning. So watch for this. And then tomorrow afternoon, 4 degrees is going to be the high as we go through the day. And as we look ahead to, once again, the weekend, so Thursday, Friday, could see a little bit of wet weather come into the picture, but Saturday, hopefully a little bit of sunshine. Sunday, Monday, hopefully remaining dry and getting close to that high single digits, maybe getting up to the double digit mark, Kat.
Oh gosh, I hope we get back to the double digits, but it is what it is. Thanks for that, Khalil.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to you all for watching. That is it from us for CBC Windsor News. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.